There's a moment that arrives quietly in a real income system. Nothing dramatic happens. No sudden spike. No breakthrough week. What changes is subtler than that. Your business income stops resetting so often. Small improvements don't vanish. When you fix something, it tends to stay fixed. And you begin noticing that decisions you made weeks ago are still shaping what's happening now. That's usually the first sign that compounding has begun. Not acceleration, continuity. An income system starts compounding when past effort keeps shaping future income. Before that point, income always feels like effort. You launch something. It works. Then attention shifts, pressure enters, energy changes, and the system behaves as if none of it ever happened. You're back to rebuilding. That doesn't mean you failed. It means the income system hasn't learned yet. Compounding doesn't happen inside moments. It happens inside continuity. It begins when the structure no longer treats every week like a restart. This is why people misread compounding. They look for speed. But early compounding rarely feels fast. It usually feels easier, cleaner, more predictable. You don't need to recover as often. You don't need to explain as much. You don't need to reconstruct the same paths over and over. The system begins to remember, and memory shows up first as reduced loss. Income doesn't begin to compound when results increase. It begins to compound when fewer things fall apart. Less lost attention, less lost trust, less lost momentum, less lost learning. Before income can build forward, it has to stop dissolving backward. This is why stacking had to come first. Once a second income structure enters, roles separate. One system attracts. Another stabilizes. Another converts. Another stores. When those roles are no longer collapsed into one place, pressure becomes visible. And when pressure becomes visible, learning can finally stick. Before that, improvement mostly lives in you, not in the business, not in the income structure. Compounding begins when improvement migrates out of the person and into the environment. When the income system itself becomes slightly better at doing what it does. When pathways become clearer. When defaults become stronger. When transitions stop breaking. That's the moment income stops feeling like something you personally generate and starts feeling like something the structure participates in. A compounding income system is one where effort leaves something behind. You can usually sense this shift before you can measure it. Conversations are easier to start. Outcomes are easier to predict. Decisions take less energy. Recovery takes less time. Your income system begins to meet you halfway, not with money first, with readiness. And that's why compounding is often missed. It doesn't announce itself as success. It announces itself as support. The system becomes slightly more cooperative, slightly more aligned, slightly less dependent on perfect days. That's the real turning point. Because when income stops requiring perfect execution, it finally becomes capable of lasting growth. This is also where entrepreneurs quietly kill compounding without realizing it. They finally create continuity. Then they disrupt it. They pivot offers too quickly. They rebuild tools too early. They restructure flow before patterns settle. The income system never gets to carry its own memory. Every potential compound resets back into effort. Income can't compound inside a structure that's constantly being redesigned. Compounding requires exposure. The same income setup across different weeks. The same business flow across different moods. The same earning structure across different levels of pressure. Only when an income system experiences varied conditions without being rebuilt does it begin accumulating intelligence. And that intelligence is what compounds. It's what allows the system to convert more cleanly, retain more reliably, and recover more quickly. Over time, that learning migrates into defaults. Defaults are what carry compounding income, not spikes. When the normal behavior of your income system becomes stronger than it used to be, compounding is underway. And it doesn't show up as a big moment. It shows up as fewer things needing to be fixed. This is why early compounding often feels uneventful. Fewer emergencies, fewer income swings, fewer weeks where everything feels like it's starting from zero. Your business income becomes sturdier, and sturdiness is what allows growth to stop being dangerous. Because income only compounds when what already exists can hold more without losing what it has. This is also why compounding doesn't start at the top of an income system. It starts at the seams, the handoffs, the follow-ups, the retention paths, the recovery loops. When those strengthen, revenue has somewhere to land. Income compounding is less about adding volume and more about reinforcing behavior. Trust deepens. Paths clarify. Outcomes stabilize. Decisions lighten. As those reinforce each other, time changes roles. Instead of eroding what you've built, it starts training it. This is the point where entrepreneurs quietly shift from chasing growth to shaping direction. They stop asking, "How do I make more money?" They start asking, "What is my income system becoming?" Because compounding doesn't just increase income, it tilts it. It pulls outcomes toward whatever the structure repeatedly reinforces. Which is why compounding is dangerous when the direction is wrong, and unstoppable when it's right. This is also where attention shifts away from tactics and toward character. What behaviors does this income system reward? What does it make easier over time? What does it quietly discourage? Those answers end up mattering more than metrics. Because compounding is your income system writing its future, and every reinforcement is a sentence in that future. So when someone asks, "How do I make my income compound?" the real answer is rarely a strategy. It's a structural question. Does your income system remember? Does it retain learning? Does it lose less than it used to? Does it behave better by default? If it does, compounding has already begun, even if the numbers are still modest, even if the pace feels calm. Because income compounding doesn't begin as momentum. It begins as permanence. And permanence is what allows income to stop feeling effort-based and start feeling structural. When an income system begins to compound, you don't feel powerful. You feel supported. Your business starts giving back some of what you put in, not as reward, as capability. And once that loop forms, income growth stops being something you chase. It becomes something the structure slowly organizes itself toward, quietly, relentlessly. Over time,